the Queen of Resilience, sits down with each incredible author featured in this highly anticipated anthology. In this captivating series, we delve into the depths of each author's chapter, exploring the hows and whys behind their desire to share their experiences with multiple sclerosis. Prepare to be inspired as these courageous souls recount their triumphs, their challenges, and the resilience that fuels their spirits.
Welcome back, everyone, to Whispers of Resilience, our MS stories. Today I've got with me Stacey. Now, Stacey lives up in Townsville. How are you going?
Tired. I'm trying to take on too much at once, and I know it will bite me, but I'm going to keep doing it anyway.
Well, thanks for joining us on the podcast. Even if you are tired, I know what that's like. I had an MRI this morning on sedation, so I'm a little bit off in doughy land as well, as we know what that's like and going in that tunnel of terror.
Kind of wish I've never actually done it sedated, but it would be a nice change. I shouldn't worry about that.
Yeah. Have you had many of them?
At least a dozen. My first one, I don't think that's in the chapter. It was in my first version. So my MRI where I found out I had MS, going back nearly 12 years, I think. The guy that sent me down, because they didn't know what was up, I thought I was having stroke. He turned around. He didn't have permission, to sign off to send me down for an MRI, especially a full spinal one. I was halfway down the Corinda Range heading to Cairns Hospital, and another doctor rang me, and not even, hey, how are you? She just said, where are you? I'm like, Corinda Range. And she's like, okay, I'll just put through approval. And she told me that, he didn't have authority to do that, but she was the head of wherever. And good thing he did, because I didn't have any lesions on my brain, but I had nearly 2 centimeter lesion on my C3 to C5. So if they hadn't seen that and he hadn't kind of screwed up, I'd maybe still not even have answers. Who knows?
Or deteriorated even more.
I do actually have a current progressing lesion in that same spot.
Yep.
But I've let it hold me back for too long, so I don't have any control over that. I can only control how I react or what I do.
That's right. So, Stacey, why did you want to write this chapter in the book?
I love writing. Also, I guess I've never really read anything from someone like me from my perspective. Majority of stuff I've read to do with MS are all in medical journals or peer-reviewed articles or just on websites, and nothing personally from somebody.
Yeah.
And I wish I had gotten the opportunity to read something like that, because it did feel very alone for a long time, and it still does to an extent. My kids and my partner all get zaps. You may know what I'm talking about, Justine, where it feels like you've just randomly been electrocuted, sometimes in parts of your body that you didn't even know you could feel until you've been zapped there. And to them, it's just nothing. If somebody doesn't know me, I'd be like, ah, they'd freak out or something. But I completely forgot where I was going. But to work with other people and to get my side out there, for a long time, I didn't know what was normal human feelings and body things and what was MS, and I had no one to compare it to. I had no one to talk to. I had nothing. So, yeah.
So you're hoping that this book raises awareness and helps newly diagnosed people and carers as well. I mean, carers are going to get a lot of
to be able to see a sort of point of view from all the writers, because you can be a carer or a family member, a partner, living with someone, but I guess when you sit down and write down a whole thing, get into it, and there's all these different versions from different people, it offers a different perspective that they may not really be aware of. I think with Milo, it's kind of part and parcel now. They're used to it, but some of these things are still new for me, and I don't know. It's hard to explain what I'm trying to say, but
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. So, was there something in your chapter that you left out and that you'd like to actually say?
There's so many things I just didn't know how to word it. It was either going to be shorter than everyone else's or twice the length, and either which way I didn't feel like if I added all that extra in, I wouldn't feel like I'd be able to cut it in anyway.
Yeah.
Hopefully my day one comes sorts out, but there was so much I wanted to say, but I just didn't know how to say it, honestly, and I still don't.
Yeah.
It was actually one of the hardest things I've written. Any other time I can sit down and write a few thousand words in an hour or two and not even stop to read it back on totally random things. But this, writing about myself, I actually found pretty difficult. There was lots I wanted to add, but I don't know what or where or how. So
yeah. Maybe you've got a book in you, Stace.
Probably do, but my style of writing doesn't really invite itself to books.
Well, we can work on that. We can definitely work on that. So what good things have happened since you've had MS?
Met my partner I've been with for over 10 years, and I pushed him away pretty hard as well, because that was my second relapse, probably maybe a month and a half. I was still on the tapering steroid dose when I met him. And so I was like, no, you don't want someone that has a kid already, has MS. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen in my life, and I didn't. Yeah. But luckily he didn't let me push him away, and he's still here. He's supposed to stay the night. But
yeah.
But yeah, I've had 3 kids since then.
Well
so
done.
You can turn around. Yeah. 2 of my kids are neurodivergent. And yeah, some days I'm pulling out my hair and I wonder if MS makes things harder. I do get fatigue. I get brain fog. Sometimes it just completely isn't there when I need it to work. But then I step back and think, you know what, this would be like that, or this would still be difficult even if I didn't have MS.
Yeah.
People are still doing it. You don't get to choose these things. You just got to play the cards you dealt. So. I've also started my nursing at uni just recently. And I'm also a support worker for disabled people.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep. So life goes on.
Yeah, I held myself back because of it and other things for so long. And then especially the last couple of years, I went quite a few years without hardly any activity, no new lesions, and then out of nowhere, a heap and progression and activity. And it's been like that for the last 2 years. And I thought, well, I still can. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do what I can.
Are you on any disease-modifying therapies, Stacey?
Yeah. Am I allowed to say the names of? Okay, so I started off, I really didn't want to do anything for a long time. My neurologist nailed me down and got me on Copaxone after the birth of my soon-to-be 10-year-old.
Yep.
That didn't really work well. Like, it wasn't the injections. Yes, they sucked.
Yeah.
But I would sit there. I'd already have a needle in my leg, and I couldn't get the actual Copaxone inside half the time. I'd sit there for 20 minutes because it was like venom. Like, I'd react with hives and welts, and it was so painful. So I only lasted a couple of months on that, and then nothing for a long time. It didn't help. I was in the Burdekin at the time, so it really made getting to the neurologist, all that sort of stuff hard. Yep. Just about 2 years ago, I was put on Mavenclad, which is cladribine. I handled that pretty well. I thought it was working all right, but I guess maybe after a year, less than a year, I didn't feel like it was like I felt like my MS was progressing.
Yep.
But my neurologist couldn't nail me down because I was pregnant with my fourth daughter when I was supposed to get an MRI to see where we were at, and had to wait till afterwards. She's just turned one. And he turned around, he said to me, he's like, look, you're probably just thinking too much. Out of a dozen people that have been on Mavenclad, none have had activity or progression.
Yeah.
And I was pretty sure. Sure enough, results came back from the MRI. I was the only one that has had my MS be active and actually progressed since then. So they put me on.
Trust you to be one, Stace.
I'm always like the opposite. You know how people like 1 in a million chance to get lucky stuff? No, I'm with the bad luck, but I'm so used to it now. I kind of just roll with it and laugh it off. But yeah, I got put on a couple of months ago to Sabri. I can never pronounce it properly.
Yep.
I thought it might have been doing something, but also felt like I didn't feel healthy. Like I felt like something was wrong with my liver, and my recent blood test said that probably a good chance that there is.
Yeah.
But third time round, my third infusion, I had a massive allergic reaction.
To the Tysabri.
Yeah. Which kind of I was like, but I've already had it twice, and they said usually if you're gonna have an allergic reaction, it's second or third time.
Yeah.
I just got hives all over me. Felt itchy. Within 10-15 minutes of actually they stopped it, gave me steroids, gave me antihistamines. I could actually feel like my throat felt like it's swollen and really itchy, and my whole head was itchy. I'm like,
wow,
first time I've had a sort of severe reaction like that to anything. But now I've had half a dose of Ocrevus.
Yep.
And this is funny, so I'll quickly tell you. I was supposed to get the other half dose about almost 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I couldn't get anyone to watch Lucy, and ideally you don't want a 1-year-old sitting on your lap for a 5-hour roughly infusion for the second half. So I called up and cancelled, thinking, yeah, no way I can get there. And I ended up the next morning at that exact same time, a different part of the hospital, because my daughter decided she wasn't sick. She was full of beans, running around waving to everyone, but she didn't sleep the entire night from a half-hour nap at 3:30 in the afternoon till 11:30 on the way back from the hospital, and she wasn't drinking her bowls. Otherwise fine, laughing, trying to play with everyone. So I skipped out on an infusion that I really needed because I couldn't get to the hospital, and I spent that whole entire time up at the hospital with a kid that was perfectly fine and just, I don't know. And yeah, I haven't been able to get back. I've tried contacting them. It's just, I don't know. I'm actually a bit worried about that.
Best to ask a friend to take her for those half a day, and or take a support worker in with you, Stace.
I haven't got I did have support workers coming in at one point, but you will find occasionally there are people that do take advantage of the NDIS system, like the companies and that. And this particular company, it happened a number of times. It's really sucked because I like the support worker. And we've actually never been out in the community. She just helped me out meal prep and tidying up and that. But I cancelled out on that company because they told me when I rang them up, I'm like, is anyone coming today? I actually canceled plans because, and she's like, well, we don't have to tell you. You have a plan manager. They weren't communicating at all. So there are so many aspects that all
very unfortunate there, Stacey. So
I don't really have anyone because I don't like socializing with people, as talkative as I can be.
Yeah. But we can have a chat off camera anyway about helping you try and get into your Ocrevus, because that is vitally important.
I've actually left messages with the neurologist. I'm like, hey, I can't wait till the end of August.
Yeah.
But sorry, got sidetracked there.
That's okay. So if there was something that you could tell someone who was newly diagnosed, some advice, what would it be?
So many things. Stop, take a deep breath. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to just sit down, feel the pain, take time to feel everything. Try to talk to people. A lot of people, you might turn around like me. I felt like even the people I was really comfortable talking to, it's just, there's not a lot known about MS. Prior to me getting diagnosed, the only time I'd ever heard of it was they had a really cool MS readathon when I was a kid. And the more you
I had $1 at the moment for every time you authors throughout the book have mentioned the MS readathon.
That was the only time I recall prior to that. So there was nothing at the time, especially internet being not what it is now, 10, 11 years ago, to know anything, to know there's people like me, there's young people, there's old people. It's, there's no.
So this book has been written to help people. You know, most people know what, know of MS, but don't know what it's like to live daily with MS. And our chapters go through a lot of that and show, you know, the tough days as well as the good days.
It really does vary. And that's the one thing, as they say, it's a mystery disease.
Yep.
How it can affect everyone differently for no rhyme or reason. Doesn't matter whether you're a professor or, you know,
or how much money you got or
nothing. And someone might only have like exercise symptoms, or like me, I was pretty good for a long time. My first relapse left me half paralyzed. I had no feeling or sensation whatsoever. I remember nearly crying in that I jumped in. There was a couple of moments that really stuck out. I jumped in the bath and I like my water hot. But my left side of my body was still freezing cold, and my brain, like, I knew what was happening. It couldn't work it out though. It just kind of, I don't know, because the rest of my body was like, get out, water's too hot, and my leg was still freezing. And so you can make sense of things. You know what's happening.
Like when I get in the shower, the only part of my body that could still feel temperature was my tongue. So I get in the shower and stick my tongue out under the water to check that the water temperature is okay, because different parts of my body feel different temperatures.
Yeah, same here. I'm going through that. I had occasionally, like randomly every few months, I'd feel something like that. But the new sort of sticking around symptom is large patches, is all I can sort of say, on my left torso of like freezing cold or burning hot. I jumped out of the shower a couple of months back and I went straight to the freezer because it was burning, and stuck an ice pack on there. I didn't feel it whatsoever. And it's really weird. You know what's happening, but it's surreal to actually live it. I wish there was a way that like in the Green Mile where you touch, how they could experience or feel it, just so there'd be that understanding. Saying is one thing, feeling it and experiencing it is another.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Well, Stacey, thank you for joining us today on Whispers of Resilience podcast. Stacey's chapter is available in the book, and if you're out there listening and wondering where you can get your hands on a copy, they'll be available on resiliencemindset.com.au or on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any of the major bookstores online. One final word to say, Stace?
Buy it and read it.
Just buy it and read it.
That's for my chapter. Like, I'm funny, and no, I'm actually really intrigued to see all the others. I was a bit nervous the first Zoom thing we did because, like, I think a couple of them had like PhDs and these high-ranking jobs, and I'm like, oh, then there's me.
You've all written very, very well. There's been no cross judgment whatsoever in any of them, and none of the authors have actually read each other's chapters. If you're out there listening, when you buy your book will pretty much be the time when they all get their copies as well. So it'll be interesting. And this is going to air obviously in September, but we're filming it about 8 weeks out from launch date. So we're all getting very, very excited about it. So until next time, listeners, or in the next chapter anyway, you all stay healthy and safe.
Are you ready to be inspired? Get ready for the book that will touch your heart and ignite your spirit. Whispers of Resilience, Personal Stories of Living with MS is now available for purchase. Have you ever wanted to peek into the lives of individuals who have triumphed over adversity? Look no further. This highly anticipated anthology brings together a group of exceptionally talented authors, all living with multiple sclerosis, who share their personal journeys with unyielding honesty and vulnerability. At www.resiliencemindset.com.au, you can now secure your copy of this remarkable book that captures the essence of resilience, hope, and the power of the human spirit. Dive into the stories that will captivate your imagination and open your heart to the triumphs and challenges faced by these courageous individuals. With each turn of the page, you'll witness the unbreakable spirit of these authors, as they navigate the unpredictable terrain of MS. Their words will inspire you, uplift you, and remind you of the incredible strength that lies within. Visit www.resiliencemindset.com.au now and embark on a transformative journey through the pages of Whispers of Resilience. Get your copy today.